I never thought a bottle of vitamins could be a weapon. But that Tuesday afternoon in September, as I stood in front of my third-grade classroom watching the alphabet blur into dancing shapes, I learned that love and poison can wear the same face. My name is Maya Chen, and I'm 32 years old. For the past 6 years, I've taught elementary school in a quiet suburb outside Portland. I love my job. I love watching children's eyes light up when they finally understand a concept they've been struggling with. I love the smell of new crayons and the sound of recess laughter filtering through my classroom windows. That day started like any other. I woke up at 6, feeling that familiar wave of nausea that had become my unwelcome morning companion. Ethan, my boyfriend of 3 years, was already in the kitchen. I could hear the blender whirring as he prepared my daily supplement shake. "Morning, beautiful," he called out as I shuffled into the kitchen. "Your vitamins are almost ready." Ethan Walker was everything I thought I wanted. He was a personal trainer with over 200,000 followers on social media, all devoted to his wellness philosophy. He had warm brown eyes, a smile that could melt butter, and this gentle way of touching my shoulder that made me feel protected, safe. "I don't know, Ethan," I said, gripping the counter as another wave of dizziness hit me. "Maybe I should skip the shake today. I'm not feeling great." His smile faded just slightly, replaced by that concerned look I'd grown so familiar with. He walked over and pressed his palm against my forehead. "That's exactly why you need it, Maya. Your anxiety is spiking again. You know, stress weakens your immune system. The supplements help regulate your cortisol levels." I nodded. He was the expert, after all. He'd studied nutrition and exercise science. He posted videos about gut health and hormonal balance. Surely he knew better than I did about what my body needed. I drank the shake. It tasted bitter, as it always did, but Ethan said that meant it was working. He kissed my forehead and handed me my lunch bag. "I packed your midday supplements, too. Take them at noon, okay? Promise me." "I promise," I said. By the time I reached Lincoln Elementary, my head was pounding. I gripped my coffee mug like a lifeline as I walked through the hallways decorated with student artwork and motivational posters. My colleague, Jennifer, waved at me from her classroom doorway. "You okay, Maya? You look pale." "Just tired," I said automatically. It was always my answer these days. Just tired, just stressed, just anxious. The morning dragged on. During our morning reading circle, I had to sit down on my stool instead of walking around the classroom like I usually did. The children noticed. 7-year-old Emma raised her hand. "Miss Chen, are you sick?" "No, sweetie, I'm fine. Let's keep reading." But I wasn't fine. By lunchtime, the classroom walls seemed to be breathing. The fluorescent lights buzzed so loudly I wanted to scream. I pulled out the small pill organizer Ethan had prepared for me. 5 different supplements. I swallowed them with water, just like I'd promised. The parent-teacher conferences were scheduled to start at 2. It was our busiest week of the fall semester, and I had 12 sets of parents to meet with before 6 o'clock. I couldn't afford to be sick. I took a deep breath and tried to focus on the papers in front of me. At 2:15, during my conference with Emma's parents, it happened. Mrs. Patterson was talking about her daughter's reading level, and I was nodding, trying to follow along. But her words started to sound like they were coming from underwater. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of my desk. "Miss Chen?" Mr. Patterson leaned forward. "Are you all right?" "I just need some air," I managed to say. "Excuse me." I stumbled out of my classroom into the hallway. The distance to the courtyard felt like miles. My vision was tunneling, narrowing to a pinpoint. I pushed through the door and felt the cool September air hit my face. There was a bench near the maple tree, the one where teachers sometimes ate lunch. I just needed to reach it. Just needed to sit down for a minute. I didn't remember falling. One moment I was walking, and the next moment there was darkness, and then I was opening my eyes to see the sky above me and someone's weathered face hovering over mine. "Miss Chen? Miss Chen, can you hear me?" It was Mr. Nguyen, the school janitor. He was Vietnamese, probably in his 70s, with silver hair and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. He had one hand on my shoulder and the other reaching toward my purse, which had fallen beside me. I tried to sit up, but he gently held me still. "Don't move yet. Stay lying down," I called the office. "Nurse is coming. His accent was thick, but his voice was steady, calm. "Miss Chen, what did you take today?" "What? I don't—" "Vitamins, supplements. Your boyfriend gives you, yes? The wellness man on the Instagram?" My brain felt like it was swimming through fog. "How do you know about Ethan?" Mr. Nguyen's expression changed. Something dark passed over his features. "My daughter," he said quietly. 5 years ago. Her boyfriend, he was like yours, always mixing her special drinks, special vitamins. Said he loved her, wanted to take care of her. She got sicker and sicker, like you." I stared at him. The courtyard seemed to go very quiet. Even the sounds from inside the school faded away. "What happened to your daughter?" I whispered. "She almost died." His hand was shaking slightly as he reached into my purse and pulled out the pill organizer. The afternoon doses were still there, 5 colorful capsules arranged in their little compartments. She was in hospital 3 weeks. Doctors found poison in her blood, not enough to kill her fast, but enough to make her sick, dependent. Her boyfriend, he wanted to control her. He wanted her to need him. My heart was hammering. "That's not Ethan, would never." "My daughter said same thing," Mr. Nguyen interrupted gently. "She loved him. She trusted him. She thought he was helping her. But love should not make you sicker. Love should not make you weak." The school nurse, Mrs. Rodriguez, burst through the courtyard door with the principal, Dr. Sarah Hendricks, right behind her. They knelt beside me, checking my pulse, asking questions. "Mr." Nguyen stepped back but didn't leave. He held my pill organizer in his hand, and when Mrs. Rodriguez asked what I'd taken that day, he handed it to her. "She takes these every day," he said, "and she drinks a shake in the morning. Her boyfriend makes them. He is a wellness influencer. Ethan Walker." Dr. Hendricks's eyes widened slightly. "I know that name. My niece follows him. He's got a huge following." She looked at me. "Maya, how long have you been taking these supplements?" "About 2 years," I said. My voice sounded small, childlike. "Ethan said they would help with my anxiety, and they did, at first. But then I started feeling worse, so he adjusted the dosage. He said I needed more to balance my system." The 3 adults exchanged glances. Mrs. Rodriguez spoke carefully. "Maya, I've been noticing a pattern. You've used 10 sick days in the past 6 months. That's unusual for you. And the symptoms you've reported, dizziness, nausea, fatigue, brain fog, they're all getting worse, not better." But Ethan said, "I think we need to get you to a hospital," Dr. Hendricks said firmly, "and I think we need to have these supplements tested." Everything happened very quickly after that. An ambulance was called. My parents were contacted. I was loaded onto a stretcher, and as the paramedics wheeled me toward the parking lot, I saw Mr. Nguyen standing by the maple tree, watching. He raised his hand in a small wave. I tried to wave back. At the hospital, they ran blood tests. They took the pill organizer. They asked me hundreds of questions about my medical history, my symptoms, my relationship with Ethan. My mother sat beside my bed, holding my hand so tightly it hurt. Her face was pale, frightened. "Why didn't you tell me you were feeling this sick?" she kept asking. "Why didn't you say something?" I didn't have a good answer. The truth was, I'd stopped trusting my own perceptions. Ethan had been so convincing, so confident in his knowledge. When I said I felt worse, he told me it was a healing crisis, that my body was detoxifying. When I suggested maybe I should see a regular doctor, he said traditional medicine didn't understand natural wellness the way he did. When I wanted to stop the supplements, he looked hurt and asked if I didn't trust him, if I didn't want to get better. So I'd kept taking them, kept drinking the shakes, kept getting sicker. The toxicology results came back 3 hours later. The doctor, a tired-looking woman named Dr. Santos, pulled up a chair beside my bed. My parents leaned in to hear. "Maya, there are several concerning substances in your blood work. Specifically, we found elevated levels of thallium and small amounts of arsenic. Both are heavy metals that can cause the symptoms you've been experiencing. They accumulate in the body over time." My mother gasped. My father went rigid. I felt numb. "Are you saying someone poisoned her?" my father asked, his voice dangerous. I'm saying these substances don't appear naturally in the human body at these levels. They have to be ingested. Dr. Santos looked at me. We've sent the supplements to the lab for testing, but I need to ask you something important. Has anyone besides your boyfriend had access to your food or drinks? No, I whispered. It's just Ethan. He makes all my supplements. He says store-bought vitamins are full of fillers and toxins. Dr. Santos nodded slowly. I'm going to recommend we contact the police. What you're describing sounds like possible criminal poisoning. In the meantime, I want you to stop taking anything he's given you, completely. And I don't want you to have contact with him until we understand what's happening. That night, lying in the hospital bed, I couldn't sleep. My phone had been buzzing constantly. Ethan had called 17 times. He'd left voicemails, texts, each one more frantic than the last. Maya, where are you? I'm worried. The school said you went to the hospital? What happened? Why won't you answer? Baby, please call me back. I love you. I need to know you're okay. Why are your parents blocking me? What's going on? My mother had taken my phone at some point and turned it off. You don't need to see those right now, she said. But I did see them. Later, when she was dozing in the chair beside my bed and my father had gone to get coffee, I turned the phone back on. There was a new message, sent just 10 minutes ago. I know what you think. I know what they're telling you. But Maya, you have to understand everything I did was because I love you. You're so special, so perfect. I couldn't lose you. Please call me. We can work this out. I can explain everything. My hands were shaking as I read it. Part of me, a part that horrified and disgusted me, wanted to call him, wanted to hear his voice tell me this was all a misunderstanding, that he really did love me, that he'd never hurt me. But I remembered Mr. Nguyen's face in the courtyard, his steady voice saying, "Love should not make you sicker." I turned the phone off again. The police came the next morning. 2 detectives, a woman named Garcia and a man named Peters. They were professional, thorough, and surprisingly kind. They asked permission to search Ethan's apartment and my house. They wanted to see all the supplements, all the protein powders, all the special wellness products he'd given me over the past 2 years. Miss Chen, Detective Garcia said gently, I want you to understand something. If this is what we think it is, it's not your fault. People who commit this type of crime are very skilled manipulators. They use trust and love as weapons. You're not stupid or weak for believing someone you cared about. But I felt stupid. I felt weak. I was an educated woman, a teacher, someone who prided myself on critical thinking. How had I let this happen? The lab results on the supplements came back 2 days later. Every single pill and powder Ethan had been giving me was contaminated. The morning shakes had the highest concentrations of thallium. The midday supplements contained arsenic. The evening capsules had a mixture of both, along with sedatives that explained why I'd been sleeping so much. Detective Garcia visited me at home, where I was recovering with my parents. My mother had temporarily moved into my guest room, refusing to leave me alone. Detective Garcia sat across from me at my kitchen table and laid out her findings. We've executed a search warrant on Mr. Walker's apartment. We found his journal. He's been documenting everything. She paused, watching my face. Maya. He knew exactly what he was doing. He researched the toxins, calculated the dosages. He even noted your symptoms and adjusted the amounts accordingly. Why? It was all I could manage to ask. Why would he do this? According to his writings, he wanted you dependent on him, completely reliant on his care. He viewed you as his perfect creation, someone he could shape and control. But there's more. Detective Garcia pulled out another document. 6 months ago, you inherited money from your grandmother, correct? Yes. About $200,000. I put it in savings for a house down payment. He knew about it. There are entries about how he planned to propose to you, and once you were married, he'd have access to that money. He was also planning to take out life insurance policies on you, large ones. The room went cold. My mother made a sound like a wounded animal. My father stood up and walked to the window, his hands clenched into fists. He was going to kill me, I said. It wasn't a question. We believed that was his eventual plan, yes, but slowly, over years, making it look like a natural illness, a tragic loss of a beloved wife. Detective Garcia's voice was gentle but firm. "You're not the first woman he's done this to." That revelation broke something open inside me. What? "We've identified 2 other women, both ex-girlfriends. Both reported similar symptoms. One filed a police report 3 years ago, but there wasn't enough evidence at the time. He was more careful after that. Smarter, but she's willing to testify now. So is the other woman." The trial took 8 months to begin. During that time, I slowly recovered. The toxins left my body. My hair stopped falling out. The nausea faded. The brain fog lifted. I started to feel like myself again, or rather, I started to discover who I actually was without Ethan's influence. Dr. Hendricks, my principal, was invaluable during this time. She had a background in family court advocacy before becoming an educator, and she helped me understand the legal process. She connected me with a therapist who specialized in coercive control and domestic abuse. She reminded me, again and again, that I was not to blame. Mr. Nguyen checked on me too. He stopped by my classroom one afternoon after I'd returned to work. He brought me a small jade plant in a ceramic pot. "For your desk," he said. "Jade means good fortune, new beginnings." "Mr. Nguyen," I said, my voice catching, "if you hadn't been there that day, if you hadn't recognized what was happening," he shook his head. "My daughter, she says I should have told someone sooner, that I saw you getting sick and should have said something weeks before. But I was afraid to interfere. Afraid I was wrong." His eyes were damp. "I'm sorry I didn't speak sooner." "You saved my life," I said simply. "You spoke when it mattered most." The trial was held in late spring. The courthouse was downtown, a posing building with marble columns and high ceilings that made every sound echo. I had to testify. I had to sit on that stand and answer questions about my relationship with Ethan, about the supplements, about how I'd felt when I'd trusted him. Ethan sat at the defense table in a suit, his hair neatly styled. He looked at me sometimes, his expression wounded and confused, as if he couldn't understand why I was doing this to him. His lawyer tried to paint me as a vindictive ex-girlfriend, someone who'd wanted to hurt his thriving career. But the evidence was overwhelming. The toxicology reports, the journals, the testimony from his other victims, the chemical purchases he'd made online, carefully hidden in his search history, the social media messages where he'd bragged to a friend about having me exactly where I want her. One of his ex-girlfriends, a woman named Rachel, gave testimony that made the jury visibly emotional. She described how Ethan had isolated her, made her sick, convinced her she was dying from a mysterious illness that only he understood. She'd lost her job, her friends, her savings. She'd been bedridden for a year before a doctor finally recognized the poisoning. By the time she escaped, she'd lost everything. "He told me I was special," Rachel said, her voice steady despite her tears. "He said no one would ever love me the way he did." And I believed him, because that's what love looked like to me, someone who cared enough to take control. I didn't realize that control isn't love, it's the opposite. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. When they came back with the verdict, I was sitting between my parents, holding my mother's hand on one side and Dr. Hendricks's hand on the other. Jennifer, my teaching colleague, sat behind us with Mr. Nguyen. Half my school staff had shown up to support me. On the count of attempted murder in the first degree, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of assault with a deadly weapon, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of fraud, we find the defendant guilty. The judge's voice was firm when she read the sentence: 25 years. Ethan would be in prison until he was 57 years old. When they led him away in handcuffs, he didn't look at me. He kept his eyes forward, his expression blank. I felt nothing. No triumph. No satisfaction. Just exhaustion and relief. After the trial, I took a leave of absence from school to focus on recovery. I started speaking at domestic violence awareness events, sharing my story. Many people were surprised to learn that my case qualified as domestic violence. There had been no hitting, no screaming, no obvious physical abuse. But that's the insidious thing about coercive control. It wears the mask of care. I started a support group at my church for survivors of coercive control. Rachel, Ethan's other victim, came to the meetings sometimes. So did Mr. Nguyen's daughter, Linda, who'd survived her own poisoning years earlier. We shared our stories. We reminded each other that we were not stupid, not weak, not to blame. One evening, about a year after the trial, Linda brought her new boyfriend to meet us. He was kind and quiet, and when she introduced him, her face glowed with genuine happiness. After he left, she turned to me. "You know what the difference is?" she said. "With my ex, I felt smaller every day, like I was disappearing. With James, I feel like I'm becoming more myself. That's how I know it's real." I thought about that for a long time. Love should make you bigger, not smaller. Stronger, not weaker. More yourself, not less. I'm still teaching at Lincoln Elementary. Emma, the little girl who asked if I was sick that day, is in 5th grade now. She wrote me a letter last week that said, "Miss Chen, you're my hero because you were brave." I cried when I read it. I've started dating again, slowly and carefully. I'm learning to trust my instincts, to notice red flags, to understand that someone wanting to take care of me isn't always loving, sometimes it's controlling. I've learned to ask myself, does this person make me feel more capable or less? More confident or more doubtful? More connected to the world or more isolated? The jade plant Mr. Nguyen gave me sits on my classroom windowsill. It's grown bigger now, its leaves thick and glossy. New shoots keep emerging from the soil, reaching toward the light. Sometimes students ask me what happened that day in the courtyard, why I collapsed, why I was gone for so long. I tell them the truth, in age-appropriate terms. I tell them that sometimes people who say they love us don't always act with love. That real care makes us healthier, not sicker. That it's okay to question someone's intentions, even if that someone is supposed to love us. I tell them to trust their bodies when something feels wrong, to trust their instincts, to speak up when something doesn't make sense, even if the adults in their lives seem confident and knowledgeable. Most of all, I tell them they're worth protecting, worth saving, worth fighting for, just like I was. Just like we all are. On quiet mornings, before the students arrive, I sometimes stand in my classroom and look out at the courtyard where I fell. The maple tree is still there, leaves turning gold in the autumn light. The bench where I collapsed is still beneath it, and I think about all the small miracles that had to align for me to survive Mr. Nguyen, being in the right place at the right time, having a principal who believed me, doctors who tested the right things, a justice system that actually worked. But mostly I think about how I get to be here, how I get to wake up every morning without fear, without poison in my body, without someone controlling my every move while calling it love. I survived, and now I get to live, really live. That's not just freedom, that's everything.